Welcome to the Cell Circle Podcast. My name is Hank, and with me is Ben.
Yeah. I was good. I had a split second to think of a school joke. Got nothing. So I didn't try.
School is back in town.
There are a million different words you could have used instead of town to make it better. We're talking about recess.
Yep.
The show, not the period of the day where you get a break from your court session.
Mm-hmm.
It was a kid show, and a cartoon animated. It started airing in 1997. I think they kept. I forget when it ended. Early 2000s.
2001, according to this wiki
Okay.
I'm looking at.
I had that open and then I closed it like an idiot. And you got me though.
Yeah.
I think reruns went until like 04 or something like that. I feel like. I don't know. That
Yes.
period of my life really blurs together.
That's fair. It was a while ago.
It very much was. Yeah, it tackles like kid problems, I guess. Like as the name implies, a lot of it takes place during recess, but there are also some out of school things and the occasional like classroom thing.
Mhm.
They had one good movie and two things that are terrible. Not terrible, just not worth it. Like recess schools out is, in my opinion, might actually be the best TV to film thing that I've seen.
Those are strong words. Those are strong words.
No, they're not strong words because I've seen in there.
Yeah,
Like,
that's fair.
I haven't seen a shitload of them.
Mhm.
Like in my mind, I'm thinking Star Trek. I've never actually seen much of the show, much less the films, aside from the new ones.
I really like the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, honestly. That's definitely my favorite SpongeBob thing.
Okay, that's a good film. I'll give you that. I still think Recess was a bit better. I don't know. I think that's because I like Recess more than I like SpongeBob.
That's fair. Like, the Simpsons movie is okay. It's not great.
It was okay.
Um,
The
there's probably
the
other
other
stuff
two-
I'm forgetting.
yeah, the other two are, what is it, like taking the fifth grade? It's like them in the fifth grade as opposed to the fourth,
Oh no!
which would be fine, except I think that was long enough after the show ended that a lot of the voice actors changed. I don't
Yeah,
know. It
that's-
just didn't.
You-
Maybe there was something. I know I watched through it. I think the animation was a bit different too.
that
And
sounds
then-
bad.
Yeah. And then what was the other one? It was like I forget what the title was, but it's the main characters and related kids as kindergartners. So they're kind of savages. My main beef with that is that they had Gus there. And he was a new kid in like the second episode of the series, so he shouldn't have been there. Or they like retconned it so that he went to kindergarten with them and then left and came back later. I don't know.
Weird.
Yeah, it was a weird thing. But I don't count it. Like, it was still just not great. Like, it could be totally whatever. So yeah, that's
All growed down. What a
I
title!
am there was also a single crossover episode with the Lilo and Stitch show. Also not good. Like, those characters do not translate well into Hawaii. And then again, different voice actors and just didn't
Yeah,
feel right.
different voice actors. It's just that's a mistake.
And it's not even like, I know TJ specifically went through the main character, I guess, for those who haven't watched the show or forgot, Kid in a Red Hat. He's gone through a couple different ones, but they were all kind of similar.
Yeah.
So honestly, like, I think when I watched it through the first time, I didn't even know. I thought it was just kind of the same guy coming into his character fully. But I think he's gone through like 3.
yeah,
And
the big one for me in animated stuff with a voice actor that changed that I didn't notice was in the DC animated stuff, Superman's voice actor changed like twice. So they had like three people over the course of Superman. Then Justice League was a different one. Then Justice League Unlimited was a different one, and I couldn't tell.
Nice. I mean, that's a good thing though.
Yeah,
like, that's the way to do it.
They cast that role well each time. So the thing. The thing that I never thought about with Recess that I literally just thought of as I was doing like the minimal amount of prep for this is that Recess is just Rugrats with middle schoolers instead of toddlers. It's literally what it is.
That's fairly accurate.
And I was thinking this, and then I looked up to see who created Recess, and it was one of the co-creators of Rugrats and the head story writer of Rugrats.
That makes sense.
Who had then left.
Which came first?
Rugrats.
Okay.
So they left Rugrats to start Recess, and then that's when Rugrats got bad.
I think that's worth it, though.
It lines up.
That's definitely...
That's fine. Like, I think the idea of doing that with middle schoolers holds up more to me than toddlers, just because...
Oh, yeah. I cannot go back to Rugrats.
Yeah.
At all. Like, obviously, I can go back to Recess. That's kind of why we're doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just finished an episode. It was good. Had my brats, had some coffee.
Nice. Yeah, just Rugrats was a show that meant more to me than Recess did. Just happens to be like the age I was when I watched it or whatever. Mm. But I can recognize that Recess certainly would hold up better, I'm sure, today.
Yeah. See, I think I mean, obviously Recess would have to be a good show in my eyes as well, but one of the key components there was that was one of the first things, like that was one of the first pieces of media that my parents also liked, particularly my dad. And that's like I mentioned, he owns school buses and stuff before. So like he got into it, like school is a big part of his life. So he loved it, and we would like watch it together on Saturday mornings, and it was a thing. So that was pretty cool for me.
Yeah, I never had anything. My dad doesn't care about cartoons, basically.
Yeah, this was definitely the exception to the, like anything else. He's like, this is like, he was not a Rugrats fan.
Oh,
like, shocking.
Weird.
Yeah.
What about that time Chucky ran fast because he had to pee? I mean, come on, that's classic.
Ugh. I can't. Yeah, it doesn't.
The big thing that both those shows have in common is like the way they use the idea of like the Great Escape stuff of like we're formulating a plan and then executing on it like we're a military organization.
And that is that's actually the very first episode of Recess. Like I actually went and watched that one again. Is everybody else minus Gus because he was added later, I guess. Anyway,
he was added early, but yeah,
it was like the second episode is Gus, but first episode is TJ. Like the cafeteria food sucks, so they're like, yeah, there's good food in the back. They're hiding it from us. They like come up with this little plan to distract people and like make sure no one's looking. And they TJ gets in the back and there's a big golden fridge that just says good food on it, or the good food. And as soon as he touches it, like alarms and shit go off.
Yeah,
and he gets into like, oh, what's a suitable punishment? No recess. And then the rest of the episode is them like busting him out.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, he escapes anyway. Recess is over, so it's not worth it.
Oh no. Yeah, just that kind of machinery stuff of characters like executing on that just makes for good TV. Like that's just a good formula that you can do over and over again. Yeah. You just have to come up with things for excuses to do that.
Like one of my favorite things, like going back to it, is just how there's the subtle things that make, I guess sometimes not so subtle, but just the things that make it definitely seem like, okay, we are getting the interpretation from a middle schooler's or an elementary child's perspective because they're grade 4, honestly.
Grade 4, you're right.
So like the superintendent rolls up in a fucking limo or whatever, and like the board of education guy comes in on a helicopter, like super fucking rich. The teacher's lounge has like a full spa and custom order restaurant and stuff. We get possibly, I was going to say Prickly's, the principal. We get his greatest line, but possibly also one of the greatest lines in television. Just a camera pan shot of the awesome teacher's lounge. And Prickly's in a hot tub, and all you get to hear him say is, and I said, that's not a kindergartner. That's my wife. Just,
wow.
That's all we get. Yeah, it's pretty great.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's one thing that I always liked.
Yeah. The episode I think that always stuck, that just like sat in my mind the most, is the there's an episode where it's someone from probably the Board of Education or something comes to like get rid of recess. Like the idea of like having the students focus more on school time, but then because they're so drained over time, their like performance is going down, like their test scores go down, and then they come up with a whole new plan to like start something. It's literally just recess, but it's an acronym.
Yeah.
So at the end of the episode, it's all back to normal. I love that. The dumbness of bureaucracy and like how you trying to fix school systems. I just love that episode. There's an idea.
There's quite a, I don't know. There's a lot of episodes that stick with me, like the one where they try to eliminate the word womps. Something like whatever guy, I forget who it is. He shows up in like one or two other episodes. It's not like the superintendent or something. I don't know. It's like a specialist who deals with these problems. And he's like all upset because he let the word dang get away from him.
Oh no.
Yeah, so just stuff like that. The episode I watched just before now was at first I thought it was related to Magic the Gathering, but I guess its original air date in 1998 was actually closer to the dawn of Pokemon blowing up in the US.
Yeah, Pokemon card thing.
So, there's like a card game and all the kids are like consumed by it. Or it's not cards, sorry, it's like tiles. They're like puzzle pieces that fit together and you place them or some shit.
Yeah.
I was thinking more Magic though, because at one point someone's like, I had it all. I played my Black Lion, Black Lotus, and he used a blue something counter spell, and then it was all over. I'm like, yeah, this seems like Magic. Everyone's obsessed. Those were back in the days when they still had Annie.
Fair. The impetus might have been the Pokemon card game becoming bigger among kids, but then the people who were writing it might have been more knowledgeable about Magic. That could have happened.
Oh yeah. There was like someone, I think it was Spinelli. Like she didn't want to get into the game, and then she saw one of the artworks on the tile. She's like, "Oh, that's pretty cool. How do you play?" So I don't know, just stuff like that keeps being relevant to me whenever I watch, whenever I watch through it again.
Yeah, and now like the show had a good cast of characters, just like
they handled diversity very well, I think, for the time.
For the time, yeah.
For the time, like there are some things that are notably lacking, but
yeah.
I also I feel like the the Guru kid.
Yeah.
That feels a little sketch.
Yeah.
Like there's some of that stuff.
It's still It's still of its time.
Oh yeah.
I can't.
I think so. I'm pretty sure my least favorite character of the main characters. I think my least favorite might be Mikey.
But he's the fat one who likes to eat.
I mean, he's also like the poet and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's an episode where
Sensitive soul.
Yeah, sure, okay. Yeah, so he's like the last remaining one who still believes in Santa Claus.
Mm-hmm. Innocence. But innocence lost.
Yeah. No, except innocence not lost because Santa is real in the end.
But I mean,
do you not remember this?
I mean, I don't remember a lot of Recess. I will 100% cop to that. I don't like the show as much as you do. I think it's it's good.
So for the purpose of this podcast, I am the authority on Recess canon.
You are the authority, 100%.
Okay. Not only is Santa an elderly black man, but aliens exist, and Jimmy Cricket or whatever the hell his name was in fact abducted by them, but he came back.
That all checks out.
Yeah,
it just sounds logical.
Mm-hmm. But no, I don't know. There's an episode where they're trying to, they learn about germs for the first time, and like how they're animals, but they're not animals. Like there's bacteria and whatever else, and it's alive, but it's not. It's obviously not like a dog or whatever. And a bunch of kids start getting obsessed with like complete germ removal. Like everything needs to be sanitized and stuff. And then Mikey is the one who's like, no, they're living beings. They deserve life. That just 11 minutes of that was real hard to handle.
It sounds like too much.
It was pretty brutal. Like I was just like, this is real annoying.
Yeah, that's how that formula can go. Of just like, we have to pad this out this whole episode of the dynamic we've settled on in the early part of the episode is just going to have to sit there for a long time.
On the flip side, Mikey does have one of my favorite episodes where he's an amazing singer and they have like whatever professional bass singer like doing his singing voice, and it's great. So
just reminds me of like when moment. In The Simpsons when Barney turned out to be an amazing singer.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I just kind of like that trope though.
That's fair.
So that's a good thing.
Gotta get a good.
I think like going through it recently or recently-ish, I've definitely begun to appreciate the art style more. Even past just screenshotting random things to use as memes because it gets ridiculous sometimes. Mm-hmm. But I think like since you mentioned Rugrats, I can kind of see it in that too. Like the stuff has kind of the rougher drawing. Like it all has like the line work, like in corners and stuff. It has a kind of rough characteristic to it.
Yeah, because there's like stuff that's cheap, that's newer, that like when it's all like sharp lines and polished just looks like garbage and looks like cheap Flash animation, that kind of stuff that just doesn't have any warmth or like feeling to it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's it's a really nice thing. Like I don't know, it feels in this, it may be especially relevant to me or others depending on where you grew up or whatever, but like there's various episodes that reference like, oh, 3rd Street School, like that's where all the kids' parents went to school, and like the mayor of this city and all this other stuff. And the school looks beat to hell. Like it is not a new building or anything. And that hits home because like that's what my school situation was like. Like my dad graduated from the school that I went to, and it's just a small school. It's not a new building by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
Has a nice vibe to it.
Yeah. I mean, it is weird considering it's Disney animation, even Disney TV animation, obviously lower quality, but it doesn't really have it has its own feel. It doesn't feel like any of the other Disney shows of that time, even.
Oh, for sure.
The animation style. It definitely feels like this is the creators intended, and they just happened to get it sold to Disney.
Yeah. I also like, I don't, I assume it's just something that they decided to keep in, kind of to give it that more like warm feeling or homemade feeling ish as much as you can with a show on television. Like some of the frames, holy shit. Like you've seen some of the screenshots that I throw around. Sometimes it just really seems like they don't care, but it's not in a way like, I don't know, what was a recent one? Like Powerpuff reboot, the Powerpuff Girls reboot. People are ragging on pretty hard because it's fucking terrible with that.
Yeah. Well, I think part of it is just that just the weird frames come because they're doing more than like Disney TV shows traditionally, I think, do like a little higher number of frames to like fill in spaces, the way like a lot of standard TV animation is just the necessary frames we need, and not like
we fill in the rest.
not interstitial ones. So I think that's part of it, of like, if you pause on the ones that are in between stuff that aren't there to be seen, they're there to make the other ones flow better.
Yeah. There is definitely some of that. But occasionally you just get the like, well, this person is cockeyed for this entire scene. Or there's like, I don't know, I have a screenshot of it. There's one of like Gus in an audience and they just drew lines for his eyes.
Yeah.
So he looks like a pretty offensive caricature.
Oh man.
It's pretty it definitely is a thing that aired on television.
Yeah, I mean the show that had like some of the craziest errors that I think of, like the Ninja Turtles original cartoon, had some brutal animation errors. Yeah.
I don't know that I've ever seen that.
Just like occasionally getting the colors of the turtles wrong. So like the wrong voice is coming, or like there's one turtle like randomly transforming into another one for like a couple of frames.
Like the bands are different colored or whatever.
Yeah. Just like suddenly there are two Leonardos standing there.
Hell yeah. That's great though.
It's like that's the kind of stuff that when you're like really pouring over, when you're like super into a thing, it's like, oh, look at all this neat stuff I can discover because of all the errors.
Yeah.
But also like just the more complicated your like character designs are, the more likely you are to have mistakes like that. Like I know the reason Batman the Animated Series went from its original style to like the super stylized version when they brought it back for the season 4, where like everything was just much cleaner lines and more angled instead of looking a little more realistic, was literally because the people running the show were sick of minor animation errors and just wanted something that would be easier to stick to model.
Yeah. And that makes sense. Like I can see it both ways, I suppose.
Yeah. So there's stuff that might look better for a drawing is more prone to errors in motion, in practice.
And
there's just more to worry about, and you're on the same time frame.
Yeah. And so Recess, obviously, I mean, at a certain point, like I came back to it. It's not like I've consistently been watching Recess. There was just a certain point where I'm like, oh, the internet exists. I could probably just download this entire thing. And so I did. And it was just as good as I remembered. Like, it's one of those things that just, man, I had a really nostalgic, like very rose-tinted, nostalgic, probably not objective opinion of this thing. And I came back to it and it was just as good as it was in my mind. That did not happen for the show Weekenders.
I don't even know that one.
That does not surprise me. It's like junior high students had the voice actor for Max, like Goofy's son. is the main character, and the one of the girls, like the kind of tomboy girl, is the voice actor of Azula. So it was also one that I watched, but it's just not. It doesn't have that, like, I don't know, that kind of grandiose view of the world, like, you know, people showing up in limos and shit, and like plans being executed to get good cafeteria food. Like, it's too real. It's too real, and I don't like it.
It's too real.
Stop. It's too real. I mean, it's not real at all, but you know, it's too real at the same time.
I see.
As me and Peter talked about it once, and I think he pointed out something that I agree with in hindsight. The best part about that show was the running gag that every single time they went to a pizza place, it was the same physical location, but the theme was different, like drastically different. That's the peak. That's the peak of the show.
That's the peak. Okay.
Pizza gags.
Pizza gags. Like what kind of themes? Like pepperoni?
Like stupid. No. Like huge
Halloween.
Shit. Like, all right, this time you go into the pizza place and it's entirely remodeled to look like outer space, and like everyone's bouncing around in like astronaut suits. Or like, all right, like this time it's like a winter theme, and the pizza is all frozen, and you have to eat it like a popsicle.
That sounds like an expensive on the animation front, not just for the pizza place. Gag. Like, you have to be really committed to that gag.
They did.
You redesign your pizza place every time that's set, huh? Interesting.
And then I don't think it was the first time. Maybe the first time, like in the pilot episode or something, that went in, it was normal. But I feel like after that, there's only one instance where it's normal, and they're like, I don't get it. What's the theme? It's weird. It's just a normal pizza place. Got pepperoni, cheese. It's just casual.
Hey, that's all I need from a pizza place. I don't need to have my pizza in space.
I like to be wooed.
Nah. You know, just give me pizza.
I just play hard to get with my pizza.
Just stick the pizza in my face, and I can move on with my life.
Actually, pizza for me is a kind of sad subject, because my favorite pizza of all time, the El Cubano, was discontinued at a place that I usually order from, Toppers. I didn't initially think that dill, like cubed, sliced, whatever, dill pickle on a pizza would be good, but it was, and it was fucking amazing. And now they don't do it anymore. And even in the like pick your own ingredients section, they just don't have dill pickles.
It's because they hate you. They just wanted you to fall in love with something that you didn't think you would like,
take it away.
So they could take it away and ruin your life.
That sounds correct.
It's all part of the master plan. They're hiding them in the back of a golden refrigerator that says the dill pickles that Ben likes.
The good toppings.
The good toppings.
You know,
no Bens allowed.
For some reason, that reminded me of the like nerd episode of Recess. I don't know if you recall that one. Like TJ breaks his arm and has to spend recess indoors with the pale kids, like PALE, like all the nerds who don't choose not to go outside for recess.
Yeah,
that's I don't know. That's one of those things that, like, you know, it's topical to my life based on my hobbies. So like, I don't know. TJ rolls into the nerd leader, like throws up a I don't know what the right word here is. I guess, paraphrase, a tribute thing. Very obviously meant to represent like the Star Trek, like live long and prosper thing.
Yeah.
You know, just all like Gondor Primilon, TJ. Like just real, doing it up real nice.
Get punched, middle schooler.
Yeah, and TJ is all like, he does some karate moves and like, yeah, stay away from me. Then eventually learns to love game that is very clearly Dungeons and Dragons, but not Dungeons and Dragons. And as like a parting gift, what the hell is the name of the superhero in this show? There's like it's not Superman or anything. It's like, I forget the title of it. It's like their comic book thing. Whenever they talk about comic books, they're talking about him. I can't think of it. I should know this.
Senior Fusion?
Senior Fusion, that's it. That's the one. Fuck yeah. And they're like, that's what they bond over because they see him reading a rare issue of Senior Fusion or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end, they take him to the comic book store, which is like fucking giant. Employee rolls up and he's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. No outside kids allowed. Looks like you've been getting some sun. Maybe this isn't your place. Maybe you should leave.
Looks like you've been getting some sun.
Like the nerd leader steps in. The guy's like, whoa, level 80 wizard mage. Oh, I'm sorry. So that's pretty great.
TV
that
nerd
whole,
characters.
Yeah.
It's a thing.
Still more palatable than the Big Bang Theory, in my opinion.
That's fair. That's not a high bar.
At least one of the two is very clearly a caricature.
Apparently, Senior Fusion was voiced by Frank Welker. Because of course. Who hasn't Frank Welker voiced?
I just like when TJ finds out that Prickly is a Senior Fusion fan, convinces everyone to like take off of school and go to the new movie release of it. Really hit home with me as far as like, 'cause, you know, I'd aspire to be a teacher someday, and that's like what I wanted to teach has kind of shifted now and then over the years.
Yeah,
but like I've always just like I would want to be the teacher who like, yeah, the new Star Wars film is coming out, so we're going to it. Field trip.
So you don't want to teach kids. You just want to have kids think you're cool. Was what I'm hearing.
I can do both. And there is a topical Recess episode for that involving the dude.
My dad's a teacher, and he said the things he tells his students first day. He's like, okay, first things first. First, I'm a liar. I'm old. I'm bald, and I'm a liar.
That's pretty great. Start. Keep them guessing the whole year.
Gotta just get that out of the way first. You're gonna accuse me of being a liar? Sure. Yep, I'm a liar. I lied to you.
Yep.
Just knowing the things kids will get on their high horse about, snickety about.
But you said.
Exactly. Well, I lied.
Yeah, okay. Whatever. Meanwhile, one of my professors was like, well, I've been thinking about giving you guys some extra credit. I've been waiting to see how my dog does at the vet.
What?
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
Two things that should not be related. Giving extra credit based on whether your dog is sick or not. You know?
That's chaos theory.
Casual things.
It's just like the raindrop on the back of your hand.
You lost me.
Jurassic Park references.
Oh, okay. Life finds a way.
Life finds a way. I don't know why that's the one, because that's chaos theories was the line for me.
I haven't seen that movie in a long ass time.
It's okay. It's an okay movie.
I remember bits of the soundtrack.
Of course you do. That sounds like you.
What? John Williams did good work. Okay, like the man knows his scores.
Why copy himself? Copycat.
Copy. I mean, okay, he did take quite a few cues from the Planet Suite, but we'll just shove that under the rug. No one has to know that Vader is Mars and Leia is Venus. It's fine. Speaking of soundtracks,
people must know. Okay, what? Speaking of soundtracks,
Recess soundtrack.
I don't remember the music at all, except the opening theme, because I I think that opening is a top tier TV.
Oh, it
animated.
is perfect
Because it tells you everything you need to know about Recess without using any words. It's pretty great.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of like the theme of the show, I guess. Like, there's a lot of horns, not as much as Gen 3 Pokemon, but a lot of horns. A lot of, I guess, more close to the style of a march, but not necessarily like a Philip Sousa sort of deal. It's not necessary. It's unlike Star Wars. That is not something that I think I would listen to randomly. Like, I would listen to it if I wanted to be more critical of it, but it just fit very well. Like, it definitely fits the school setting. Very I lost my word. Absolutely, just
it was stolen by a gremlin.
I mean, that's
all the time.
That sounds like a Halloween special.
No, that's a Christmas movie.
Is it a fucking Christmas movie? It's been a long time.
Yeah.
I made the badness. That was a movie that also, like, the decision was made at way too young of an age to watch it at night in the dark.
Well, that just sounds like a good time.
It was great. Except for the part where I didn't trust anything ever again.
Yeah, I didn't really watch horror movies as a kid. I was too much of a scaredy pants back then.
I had a lot of gumption until the film started. And then it was like, I want to stop watching, but at the same time, I don't want to have to get up and walk over to the TV because that's when they get you. Like, if I step off of this couch, I'm not coming back. That's how you die.
I don't know why that's such a thing. You're like, the space that I'm in is a safe space, but
that's because
step out.
You've been sitting in that space. It has been confirmed okay because you're still alive and you're sitting there. Anything outside of that tiny zone.
Yeah, in my head, whenever I went to sleep, there were monsters everywhere in my room, and my blanket was like a shield that would protect me. So I had to be under the fully covered, or the monsters would get me.
Very vividly recall an instance of, and it's something that like never really happened before or after, but just a very, to me, extreme case of like mind games.
Mm-hmm.
I had this weird like, someone's gonna fucking yell at me because I don't know what kind it was, but there was like a dinosaur little figurine on my dresser, like brontosaur or something, long neck, 4 legs, that whole deal.
Yeah.
And there was a T-Rex next to it. And they weren't huge, maybe like 4 to 7 inches. One was taller than the other, maybe. It was somewhere in that range. And I was young enough where I like still had a nightlight in my room, so there was just that very, very dim light source. And I swear to God, I like saw them move. Like, and I kept watching them, and I kept seeing them move. Like, I was looking at them, and it looked like their heads were moving or something, like going back and forth. And it was just that very tired, dark tricks on my eyes. And it got to the point where I mustered up the courage, got out of bed super fast, like took a quick step to the dresser, grabbed both of them, went outside my room and threw them down the stairs, and like slammed my door and jumped back into bed. Like, I did not want anything to do with that.
Toy Story is the true nightmare.
Still not. I mean, now just replaced like dinosaur toys and night and bedroom with kitchen sink and centipedes and
no, those are moving. It's not a.
That's the problem, dude. They're moving and they need to stop.
They will not stop unless you kill them.
There's so many, dude. Oh my God. Even when I like,
just imagine how many centipedes there are that you can't see.
Yeah, that's the problem. And also when I killed that one, like I squished it. I squished it so hard. There was so much squish, and it was like still going. Like some of its legs were still going.
Yeah, man. Motor
It's
function.
horrible. It's fucking horrible. No, it's way worse. It's way worse. Like I've killed daddy long legs or whatever, and you know their legs still twitch a little bit. Whatever. There's only like 6 legs, 8 tops. No, centipedes. There's like 100,000 legs that are still twitching when you kill them. It's terrible.
They're small legs. They're not like...
Small legs are way worse.
They're not as big as my leg. My leg's pretty thick.
To be fair, a long-legged centipede would actually be the most terrifying thing.
I'm just imagining a centipede just with lots of human legs.
Yeah, that's like that form of the human centipede is actually like scarier than the human centipede we have now. One of those things is more terrifying. It's not
Really?
the one that involves sewing a mouth to an ass.
That just doesn't. That's just weird and gross. Like I don't.
No, it's just gross for gross, like the sake of being gross, shock value or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't. Strangely enough, I'm not sure that Recess ever touched on like fear of bugs. I can't think of an instance where they did.
I just sent you a picture on Discord of a character with a real leg.
Yeah, that's certainly a thing. I think that might just that might just be a universal law. Like things that don't have real human legs shouldn't have them.
Like those,
unless it's
like that Kirby with real feet too,
or Toad. I think there are exceptions though. Like it can be used well for humor. Like I'm thinking of SpongeBob specifically. There has to be at least one scene where they like show his leg and it's just, you know, it's a leg instead of a stick.
Oh yeah, SpongeBob loves that kind of stuff. That's also like Ren and Stimpy, where like suddenly it's just like too realistic. It's like too much detail. Just the grossness of actual creatures instead of streamlined animated things. Just a couple lines.
I mean, at that point, SpongeBob could just take a note from Gulliver's Travels. Shrink SpongeBob down, and now he's witnessing the world in way too much detail.
That's fair. You can usually get that effect just for like a character hasn't slept in a long time or something.
Yeah. Actually, you know, they don't need to shrink SpongeBob down. They already got Plankton. You just do it from his perspective. That's why he's so angry. Everything's so gross and terrible.
Everything smells bad. Everything's bad.
Yep.
Instead of, it is weird. He's the small one, but it's like he's the evil adult, and SpongeBob's just a dumb kid. Even though he has a job.
I mean, you can be a kid and still have a job.
That's true.
Maybe SpongeBob is set in the early 1900s.
It's a good role model for kids. Get a steady job, kids.
Get your ass out the house and get to work. There's just, I don't know. Honestly, we could do a whole separate thing just for SpongeBob, probably. There might arguably, not even arguably, I think there probably is more to be said about it than Recess.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing as how far we've strayed from that light.
Because the thing about like it's solid.
It was short-lived ish.
It had 127 episodes.
Yeah, but compared to other stuff,
that's fair.
I mean,
SpongeBob is an unfair comparison to anything.
Because
that is a single show that devoured an entire network.
Yeah,
like they put out SpongeBob episodes on Game Boy Advance cartridges.
Yeah. I also think it's just because like Avatar: The Last Airbender, that wasn't a super long, like that show isn't terribly long either.
I mean, but that's like a story.
But yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, there's a lot more that happens instead of just purely episodic things.
There are fewer episodes of SpongeBob than I would have thought.
I was gonna bring. Oh yeah. I don't know when I looked this up or why. I don't know why I was looking it up, but apparently Arthur is the second longest running animated show.
I mean, that makes sense.
Only The Simpsons beats it. I didn't know that. I didn't know it was still going. They're coming up on like season 25 or some shit like that.
So there was a time I went
to or whatever.
My parents rented a house in Nova Scotia for a couple weeks. We went up there once, and the TV we got there had like 3 channels, and 2 of them would show The Simpsons, and like 2 of them would show Arthur. Like, those were the 2 things I watched while I was there. It was like that, and then occasionally rowing would be on. That was like my experience with like local Nova Scotian TV. It was The Simpsons and Arthur were like the things that existed.
Arthur was a
I never saw Arthur when I would have been the right age for it. It was always as an older kid, like, this is at least not super annoying.
Yeah. I mean, I was young enough, and also it was one of those things where, like, Recess and other shows, that was my Saturday morning thing, because we didn't have cable or satellite or any other way to watch cartoons.
Yeah.
So whatever I got on Saturday was what I got. Like, hope 4Kids isn't shit this time.
No, always.
Arthur was consistently on after school, so like that's what we would watch PBS kids when me and my siblings got home. But it was one of those things that I didn't really think about, and then someone brought it up, or I saw it somewhere. It's like, nope, Arthur is still going. Holy shit, that's a thing that happened.
It's got like 7 more episodes than SpongeBob. Over sometimes like almost twice as many seasons.
Yeah. Sometimes I'm tempted to download it. Like, see how the stuff went after I stopped. But I don't know that I want to do that to myself.
It's probably just inoffensive and bland.
Yeah.
It's probably
that sounds very correct.
It's probably just fine.
I know his voice actor, like Arthur's voice actor, changed. I think his voice got higher. Like, he got that Ash Ketchum treatment.
Oh, no.
When not great. Not a good decision.
I hate the change to Ash's voice.
Yeah, that was a brutal one.
Cartoon Network ruined Pokemon for me. Which is weird, because it's not like 4Kids is known for great dubbing, but, you know, they had some good people working for them.
I don't know. I guess I don't get all of the 4Kids hate because...
Oh, I mean, it comes from because they just changed stuff.
I mean, yeah, but also I'm not a weeb, so...
Oh, you're not a weeb. You're not a weeb.
Yeah.
Wait.
No, what?
You're not a weeb?
Say it, motherfucker.
I just thought you were a weeb.
Yeah, I know. I give off that impression.
Like, definitely, I've definitely heard you called a weeb before, so I just assumed that was a fact.
Well, you know, between my waifu body pillow and my collection of figurines, you know, sometimes I don't know where I stop and the anime begins. It's just another day in my life.
I mean, my lying cat didn't say lying when someone's called you a weeb, so I just assumed.
Hey, that Saga reference, though.
Yeah, that'll be that'll happen. That'll happen.
It's gonna happen. I'm excited for that one. Yeah,
I think we're out of steam.
We finally, we burnt out. I burnt out on Recess material way early in this. Did not have nearly as much as I thought, but the passion is there. I definitely like it as much as I think I do.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. Yeah, I didn't have a lot going into this one, so
Yep. And I probably could have like done more. I don't know.
Yeah, I was busy. My prep was more towards the saga episode that's going to happen. I didn't get a chance to do much recess prep. What are you going to do?
Yeah, this, I'll close that discussion by saying Recess is something that people should check out if they haven't. Just because I don't know, it captures a certain, I guess to a degree, a certain period in general, but it also captures like that era of people's lives very well, I think.
Yeah. All right. You can email us at saltcirclepodcast@gmail.com. Find us on soundcloud.com/saltcircle. On Twitter @saltcirclepod, and you can find me on Twitter @comicpanels.
And I'm on Twitter @bean_LP.
See ya.
School's out of town.
School's out of town.
Yeah.
It's a tragedy.